Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Centercourt Online first webinar, or I should say team meeting, which we're having on Mother's Day. So well done everyone who made it. Apologies for those who I've interrupted your lunch, including my own wife. But anyway, look, we're really happy to be able to get together. The objective of today is firstly to sort of see where everyone's at, see if there are any common questions, any common things that we need to answer. If there's anything that's not understood, this would be the time that we're very happy to take those questions. And then we'll talk about some other topics towards the end. I really want to take a moment to introduce my great friend and director at SOTO Tennis in Spain, Dan Kiernan. Dan is an absolutely awesome guy, great coach. He's totally giving in what he's doing, and we couldn't appreciate more at this time where we're locked down here, probably still, I don't know, 10, 20 days away from being able to get on a court. So, Dan, thanks a lot for making it. I know it's later over there for you in Spain. Firstly, we wanted to say thanks so much for the program. We're getting rave reviews over here. We're getting a lot of players who are committed to learning, completely enrolled and engrossed in the process. We definitely had some questions that we wanted to go through that are more logistical. But before we do, I'd like to ask anyone that's listening in, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat function or just jump in and let us know you've got a question. But before we take those questions, Dan, over to you. Just give us a quick wave from Spain.
Thanks, Conrad. Thanks a lot for having us, and thanks to the players that have joined. How we doing? Anyone that's listening back to this as well, it's fantastic to be working with Centercourt. You know, it's been a real pleasure over the last couple of weeks to do it. I hope those that are enjoying the program, you know, are really getting stuck in. You know, I know we're going to get to certain questions today, so I'll not say too much. And I would also say those that haven't tried the program yet, you know, give it a go. You know, it's for a couple of days, see what you think. You know, you can always then look at all the different levels that we have in place for you. You know, we do also welcome anybody's feedback as well. You know, this is where we're not claiming to be perfect at this, but we do know that the content is fantastic that's being put out there. And it can be done in your own time, you know, and that's I think the big thing, Conrad, for everyone to understand. You know, as we've put this out, you know, people are feeling like we've given people a lot of content, but we haven't given them a lot of content to make them feel rushed and to make them feel it's because we wanted to add a lot of value to the program. You know, and it doesn't, just because it says day one, it doesn't have to be all done by day one, you know, and if there is going to be some days, and we all know that everyone's got busy lives, and there's going to be some days where it becomes a bit too much. And, you know, maybe as long as you're keeping to your routines and you're able to maybe get your physical work in, you can come back to your tactical sessions, or you can decide, actually, you know what, I'm going to look at my volley sessions, and I'm going to dedicate 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon to really work on my volleys, and I'm going to do all the sessions at one time. So please do understand that this is a very flexible program. That's a point that I want to make really loud and clear today. This is not, we're not trying to suffocate you with the work.
So on that, Dan, thank you very much for that lead in. On that, one of the questions I've had several times is, if someone is unable to get through the content on one day, or they even miss a day or 2 days for other commitments that can come up, how does that affect them? How do they continue on the course? And what if it goes beyond 21 days? Let's say it goes 26 days. Can you just speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think my big message is, this is content for life. This is a program for life. You know, we've provided frameworks and learning frameworks for everyone that's taking this course. And it's not going to be the 21 days go and then we pull the course away from everyone. It's going to sit on the platform, you know, would be the first thing to say, so that it can be used for longer than that. Secondly, there's a lot of downloadable work And if we were going to move away from the platform, which isn't the plan. The plan is to have lots of these courses and to make, online courses available for a long time to come. We would give people a few weeks advance notice so that people could then take away what they want to take from the program as well. The second thing that I would say, which I think it's a good practice for players out there anyway, and coaches, we've got coaches that have been involved in the program, is to make sure you're setting up a really clear file on your own computers. We use Google system, but there'll be different systems people use, and make sure that you're keeping all of your work in one place, because the beauty of it is it can be revisited, and you can do your work, you can take that work to your coaches once you're back on court, and it'll act as a really nice resource to work with your coaches on, which is fantastic. And secondly, what you might think about your game identity as an example, or you might think of your tactical way that you work, if you revisit that in 6 months, it might have evolved, and it can really act as a nice piece of work for you because ultimately it's yours. We're providing the frameworks, but you as players and then the coaches you're working with, it's very much it is your work, it's your routines, it's your ways you're trying to play the game. So that would be very important as well. But I have to stress, it's content for life, it's work for life, it's frameworks. This is not something that's going to be taken away. So please don't feel rushed by it. You can be flexible within your own lives. And if it takes you 30 days, it takes you 30 days. That's okay. That's not a problem.
That's brilliant. One of the things we talked about before coming on live was the beauty of being able to go to, let's say, tournament phase and be able to refer back to this information. So, summer's coming up in, let's call it 6 or 8 weeks' time. A lot of kids are going to be training in camps and then going out and competing. And often they can't take their coaches with them, or a coach is not available, so they're with their parents. This is one of the great aspects of the program, is that they're going to be able to refer back to this information. If you're at a tournament, you might think, oh, how was it that I play against that type of player again? And you can revisit and use it again. So that's been a common question. If you miss a day, you are not going to be behind. You can take it up when possible. That's great. Dan, another question, if I could ask it for you, is the amount of screen time is something that's definitely been raised. Obviously, right now where we are, no one is going back to school this year. So basically everyone is on online learning. And some people, that might be 3 hours, might be 5 hours, who knows? So could you talk a little bit about that?
I think the first thing that I would say on that, I'm a father of 3. I'm in Spain, so as you guys will know from the news, Spain was very much an epicenter in Europe of this virus. So we've been in lockdown now for 8 weeks. And my kids, I see it. It's real. It is. The online screen time is a real issue. It's something that we don't want our kids doing, and that was very much in mind when we wrote this course. So if you don't mind, if I talk through the Rogi program first, which is aimed at the under 10s, under 11 program. The way that we've set that up, it's a tennis. It's all tennis. It's physical and tennis. We want people moving. The first thing that you do at the start of the day that we're trying to get people to do is move. And that's from a mental side. It makes us feel better if we're moving at the start of the day, in terms of our bodies as well. We're taking care of our bodies, and we're only talking about 10 minutes. And I think if anybody wants to play tennis to any level, getting up and doing 10 minutes before school, is something that's a habit that you should be in. So that's the first thing. The next things that we've done, there's over 100 sessions throughout the 21 days. And the only ones that actually require what I would call studious work are the tactical sessions. And there's only 9 of those sessions across the board. And with those as well, the way that we've done it, we've set out printable PDFs that can be downloaded, printed off. Go out, I don't know if the sun's shining in New York, but get out in the garden and you can do your work. You can do your work away from the screens. The rest of the sessions, you might get your instructions off a screen, but the actual session is physically happening. And it's been set up with the idea that you'll be doing that outside if possible. You know, don't need masses of space, but you are active. And even if we look at the mental training sessions that we have in place, you know, it's involving a racket and ball. You know, we want the racket in hand, we want the ball, we want the feelings, and really joining that all together, because I'm a big believer that every aspect of the game is integrated together. You know, and the same with the tactical work. You know, we're using this time, and we want you guys to use this time to get absolute clarity of how you like to play the game. Because if you have clarity on that, then mentally you're going to be in a much stronger position to commit and to execute that when it comes down to being back on the court as well. In terms of then the groups, the development groups and the performance groups, it's the same again. There's the tactical sessions will require a little bit of screen time, but you can download it. But then there's 3 physical sessions you've got a day. You've got skills sessions with racket in hand, technical sessions, racket in hand. You know, the mental sessions, most of them include racket and ball in hand, and we want you guys to be active. That's something that's really important. So I understand the fear. It's a real fear. It's right. You know, I have it with my kids as well, but it's been written in mind, and it's been written by a dad and somebody who understands, you know, what children are going through right now. So yeah, that's all I can say. I would say there's basically, I guess, to put a number on it, there's less than 10% of sessions require you sitting in front of a screen.
Wow, that is absolutely perfect. At this juncture, I'd like to ask, has anyone got a question? Callista, how are you doing? How are you feeling with this? We've got Isabella, Joseph, Emma, Florian on the call. So you guys got any questions you'd like to ask Dan, who's here at this time? Anything about the content? Give us a thumbs up if you're loving it. All right. All right, that's great. No questions at all, guys? All right, lots of thumbs going up there, and that's great. So, look, I think the only really other thing I wanted to get your perspective of is once the players are through 21 days, and let's say they've loved the program, probably by that stage, we'll definitely be back to training, which will be most likely, I would think, stage 2. Here we've got stage 1, 2, and 3. I'm not sure you know that. Stage 1 being private lessons, singles play only. We'll be conducting UTR match play with that, and that'll be the first thing to open. Most likely, we're thinking in the next 15 days. And then stage 2 will be back to small groups and things like that. Stage 3 will be obviously camps and you know, going on from there, bigger groups. But definitely once we get through the 21 days, do you have a plan to, or what is the next plan? What is kind of the next thing to look forward to if you're enrolled now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good question. And I think through this time, I think we've all learned a lot, and I hope you guys can understand, and well done, especially you guys on the call. It's amazing the dedication you guys are showing, because I think it's quite a lazy way of thinking, but a lot of people in the tennis world do think that you only get better by hitting tennis balls, you know, and that can almost, I think that's the old way that people do think, you know, and rather than actually it's hitting tennis balls with absolute purpose and understanding. Well, first and foremost, we have to have that purpose and understanding. And I know us as tennis coaches, the pressure is on sometimes that's what we do. That's what a tennis lesson looks like. It looks like just hitting tennis balls, you know, and sometimes other areas get neglected. So what we're working towards, and myself and Conrad are talking on this, is a way of also making all this other information accessible. You know, and it might be, if we take the academy that we've got in Spain, not everybody can be at the academy at all times, you know, so how do we make it accessible for people to be able to understand how we work, the right ways that we work, the different concepts. So absolutely, you know, for us, we have this in mind, that the academy is going to be going online, you know, indefinitely. You know, there'll obviously be the physical side of that, but also we will then have a different strand of the academy to be able to offer insights and abilities for people to see what goes on in all the different aspects that logistically don't always have access to that information in a physical sense. You know, and obviously my vision will be the content won't be as heavy, because naturally people will have less time. And the courses that we're looking at bringing together, we're looking at it being 5 to 7 hours a week, so 45 minutes a day type courses that will fit in and fit into different people's programs and be a really helpful addition, like you say, whether they're on the road or whether they are in training situation. And also to offer variations of courses, because I understand there will be some parts that people are more interested in than others. So it might be that, you know, we don't have some people don't have access to strong tactical information. You know, it might be some people don't have access into mental routines and visualization. It might be that some people don't have access into a really good stretching routine that they're doing on a day-to-day basis. You know, whatever it might be, you know, we're ultimately working with Conrad and working with Centercourt to be able to put you guys in a position that there's no stone unturned in your development, you know, and there's lots of that can also happen very much in an online remote way. You know, we'll continue to have these Zoom sessions and provide the support as well in the background. But there's a lot that we can do in a remote way that maybe our eyes weren't open to a few weeks ago.
That is very true. And if I can jump in on that, I think that, you know, a lot of kids also these days are limited with obviously other commitments. And when you're talking about performance tennis, you're generally talking about children who are at an age scholastically or academically where the requirements there are also very difficult. They've got a lot of time that has to go to that. So in order to be able to train every day or to contribute purposefully to your development, you need to be able to do things at home. I've always called these help exercises, home exercise learning programs, and I've always done them on some level. But we'd like to formally kind of get that together for all of the those of you that are in the program and those that will need more help moving forwards as your level goes up, but your time gets a little bit harder to distribute towards tennis, and that generally happens in those middle years and upper years. So look, the point of that is that this is not a one-shot 21-day bang. You know, there may be a delay between the first and the second version, let's say, but we're definitely working on that. And look, without that, is there any questions? Does anyone come up with any questions that they'd like to ask? If not, we don't want to take too much of your day. And we are always available. I myself am always available, guys. So we've been very lucky to have Dan come on today, and I really appreciate that, Dan. I know it's Sunday night there, but I'm always available, guys. So anything needed, flick me a message, flick me an email. I'll be more than happy to get on a call with you and help explain. The other thing that we'd be really open to is, as Dan said, if there are areas that you feel you need help with. So not everyone's the same. Everyone develops differently. I know the mental topic is just amazingly interesting to go through. And right now, Dan, I'm not sure if you've been able to see, but we've been doing webinars with guys like Dr. Mark Kovacs and Dr. Anthony Ross. And, you know, we've done lots of great stuff. We've covered a lot of doubles topics, which I know you're a top 100 doubles player. You're a Wimbledon competitor and whatnot. So, mate, you're you know, one of the highest level guys we could possibly have giving doubles feedbacks to our kids. And here in our system, I think it's 6 tournaments a year. There's what's called the Empire Cup, which is like the most amount of points kids can win, and it's doubles. So, yeah. So, you know, there are a lot of things. We're also open to parents. Please let us know what you see. It may be something like nutritional topics. There may be more help that's needed, and we can certainly look at how we can embed this in from version 2.0 and on. All right, so I'll just very quickly, 1 more minute. If anyone's got a question, now's the time. Yes, Callista.
How long should we usually be working on the 21-day challenge? Like,
How many hours a day do you mean?
yeah.
Dan,
Between
what do you?
between 16 and 19 hours, how much are you doing? Not enough. No, we very much wrote the program in mind, and I know I'm going to give quite a big time range here, but I'll then explain that. So between 2 and 5 hours, and
Okay.
and the reason that I say that is there will be some players that will want to really delve into some areas a bit more, and we've written it like that on purpose, so that actually you want to really go and research a little bit more. You want to spend a bit more time watching matches, your favorite players, understanding your way of working. You know, some people might just not quite have the time or feel that they're at that stage of development to delve into that as much. You know, we had one player in the Open project who wrote a whole song. So they did a song, they recorded the song, and then they did a video with all of different pictures from the lockdown period. And the song was called Pause, and it was all about the lockdown period. And that would have taken him hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. But, you know, he was in a position where he didn't have online schooling, so he maybe had a little bit more time to do it. So yeah, between 2 and 5 hours. But the thing I want to be really make really clear here, and I said this to a player yesterday: be kind to yourself if you don't get through it. You know, I would say definitely try and stay. The physical side of things is really important. You know, I believe that's really important to stick into a nice routine. You know, but if you do miss a couple of sessions because you've got too much work, or you've got a family meal, or, you know, we all have busy lives at times, be kind to yourself. Just mark it, and you can come back and you can look at it again. All right.
Thank you.
Good.
Great question, Callista. Anyone else got a question? No, we're all doing great.
Thumbs up again. Can we get thumbs up again? That made us feel good about the program. Yeah, we like the thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Good on you, Joseph. Isabel, I see the thumb. Well done.
We need to work on Florina to get the thumb up, but I'm sure we'll get it at some point.
Yeah, all right. So look, guys, again, we're going to do this next Sunday and the Sunday after. 12 o'clock will be our time. In the meantime, again, I think everyone's got my contact. Please send me any question you may have. We are really excited about this project. Dan, what we were really pumped about is we're the first in the USA to deliver an online program all through the Americas. No one else has done it. We're the first. And so, you know, we really appreciate everything you guys are doing for us. One of the things I've really stressed to everyone is our academy, we have a lot of developmental players going towards high performance. You guys really have guys who are already competing at Grand Slam level, at Davis Cup. Could you talk just very quickly to close us out? Who are the range of players that you have, and what level are they at that are doing the various online programs?
Yeah, so I mean, we have a range of 8 years old who haven't even played their first competitions, but we're introducing them. They're obviously training 2 or 3 times a week. They're learning the very basics of the sport, you know, the zones of court, using space, you know, learning to score effectively, you know, and that was very much where the Rogi program came from. And obviously we then developed that with yourself to suit the needs of Centercourt. And then we genuinely have had we've got a player who made quarterfinals of the mixed doubles at Wimbledon last year, who was also top 300 in the world ATP. He genuinely has done the program, you know, and he's obviously taken aspects of it, you know, and tailored that to what he needs. We've had Davis Cup players, Fed Cup players. We've had, you know, we've got, you know, good juniors. We've got juniors who, you know, are looking for US scholarships. We've got, you know, down to then players that are playing a kind of county regional level of tennis. And then we've actually had a school. We've had a school with some school players that have done it for the first time. So there's been a nice range, and that's what I was saying there to Callista as well. It's the way that it's set, people can delve into it as deep as they want. you know, and that's where I think the time frame is can't get too caught up on, because there will be certain players. We had one player who's a Fed Cup player. She did a full project on fear of failure, and she really looked into fear of failure very deep. And she then came up with an amazing presentation on that, because that was something that was important to her. Now that might not be important to a 12-year-old right now. So there is a range to be able to. The program's not set to be dictated to. It's set for you guys to have some freedom to take it where you'd like to take it. But there's a good group of people from all ranges that have been using it with lots of very positive feedback. So I'm pleased to get the positive feedback from you guys as well.
Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you, everyone. Happy Mother's Day to your mums. Make sure you make them feel special, and we will see you guys continuing throughout. Just one little point. We do have the ability to see on the back end who's working hard and who is not. So don't think that you're out there alone. You do have the team on the back checking in to see who's, plugging away and who's falling behind. So keep chipping away, keep working hard, and we'll see you guys next Sunday. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you so much, Dan.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a good Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day, guys. Pass it on to your parents. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Thank you.